And good afternoon, a very warm welcome to our Friday Learning Your Lunchtime webinar. Absolutely fantastic to have you all here today. And as you can see, we've got a very special guest in studio with us today. Salil is going to be talking to us about how to use LinkedIn to get the job that you want. So fantastic that you are joining us today. If you're interested in getting ahead in the workplace and looking for jobs, then LinkedIn is the right place to do that. Salil is an expert on that, and him and I have recently launched a course which we'll share some details about just now. But short reminder very quickly that this is the Student Success Coach community where we go live every Friday at 12 o'clock. And we have wonderful guests like Salil and Tracy, and we talk about all sorts of things that will help you be successful in your studies and in the workplace. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel while you are here. I'll also pop some links to our Facebook group and lots of other resources and the website in the chat as well. So let's, I think, give Salil a chance to introduce himself and just to maybe start teeing up this topic of LinkedIn, what LinkedIn is, why it should be important for job seekers and recruiters potentially. But Salil, I mean, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about LinkedIn.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks again, Peter, for having me on your show. Absolutely love being here and love to connect with all the students and share so much. And we get so much back as well every time we do this live. There's students who come back to us and say how the live seminar helped them, or they learned something that helped them in their career or in their academic path. So it's just a great feeling to get so much back from you guys as well. And it just motivates us to keep doing this every Friday, keep creating new courses, keep creating new content. Even on YouTube, we are publishing videos every day almost. Udemy, we are coming up with courses every week. So it's great to just get that motivation and feedback. Coming to this specific course on LinkedIn, LinkedIn as a tool is very powerful in itself, but for job search, it's even more powerful, right? Because it's that network effect. It's the ability to be in front of the professionals in that professional settings, and then just give your best self out there. Just put yourself out there. So LinkedIn is very powerful in terms of finding a job. And what I also felt when we discussed in this course is it's not so much to use as when you're actively looking for a job, but even when you're passively, or even if you're just in the workplace, the fact that your profile is up there, the fact that your experience is up there, your awards, your achievements, you're actively posting the type of content that is relevant to your audience. You're posting things that people or recruiters might be interested in. Just being active gives you that presence and that visibility, and then people just approach you. Hey, I have this opportunity, and I saw your profile. I know you're working at this company, but are you looking for a change? So it's not just active job seeking, but passive job seeking as well. And that's what we talk about in this course also, on how to network, how to create a wider network, how to increase your visibility, use hashtags, improve your profile, everything, so that you always have that visibility on the network, and that just gives you access that you can't even imagine.
Wonderful, Salil. Thank you for that insight. And I mean, last week we were talking about social media and digital marketing. So, I mean, Salil, just explain for us. I mean, LinkedIn is one of a number of sort of social media platforms, but specifically aimed towards the professional environment. And, we've probably got a lot of people on the call today who are, perhaps at varsity or a little bit earlier on in their career, and perhaps they have heard of LinkedIn, perhaps they haven't. But just explain to us, I mean, you spoke just now about creating a profile and networking and interacting on LinkedIn, and people might be more familiar with doing that in a social, personal context like Facebook and Instagram. But just explain for us exactly what LinkedIn is with reference to what they might already be familiar with, such as Facebook, and then how that creates a marketplace for organizations, for individuals, professionals, job seekers, and then recruiters and people looking to get talent into their organization. Just tee that up for us in terms of social media marketing and the platforms that have become very popular in the last 10 to 15 years.
Yeah. So if you think about traditional social media, I like to think of the example of 9 p.m., before 9 p.m. and after 9 p.m., right? So if you work at 9 to 5, social media is something we do after 5, where we talk about, what pub we're going to, or what friends we're hanging out with, or what party we're going to, or anything that's more to do with the aspect of our life away from work. But LinkedIn is what you do in the work. So let's say you get a new project and you led a new project. You will talk about that on LinkedIn because you have the relevant audience of your colleagues, of your management, of other people that you're connected with, who will be interested in that work project. So that's the main distinction, is that you're talking about your work, you're talking about your your projects, your achievements, your academic success, and all of that. Whereas in social media, you're talking more about what you do over the weekend, or what you're going to do, where you're going to party, or what's your social life like. So there's a very stark distinction, and even though the lines are being blurred, so as entrepreneurs, a lot of entrepreneurs post about their personal life as well, on how they're using their entrepreneur life on LinkedIn, and then they post about their personal life. But in general, that's not as effective and little frowned upon. What is more effective is how we talk about our work life, our achievements, our academic achievements, our interest, our business interest, our job interest, our subject matter expertise is what we get to showcase, which will not be relevant to a Facebook audience. So let's say you're a data analyst, right? A data analyst posting about the new code will not be a relevant audience on Facebook, whereas you get connected with other analysts on LinkedIn, and you'll have a rich feed of content of new trends in the industry, in the marketplace, and then you'll also get a lot of feedback, comment, engagement from those people because it's something that you're interested in. One of the instructors that we recently spoke to, he's an expert in cybersecurity. So he does this thing where he does one cybersecurity question a day. So he has this rich engagement that is going on because he's connected with everyone who's interested in cybersecurity trends, and all that subject. Whereas if he posts the same question on Facebook or on Instagram, for example, the audience is not as relevant or as interested in the topics that he is, or specifically the professional topic. So that's a major distinction, that when you want to talk about your work, you want to talk about your work achievements, LinkedIn is the place. When you talk about your personal achievement or personal life or life beyond work, then Facebook, Instagram that you're used to. So I think that's the primary distinction.
Great, thank you for making that distinction there for us, Salil. I appreciate that. So, I mean, let's dive in. Let's talk straight away about the course that we've created, and I mean, I'll stick it up on the screen, and we can start talking about some of the lessons and the value that we've packaged into that online course between yourself and I. So, Salil, I mean, what was the intention that we wanted to achieve, with creating this course, and what can people expect to be able to benefit from? Having gone through the course. And I mean, thrilled to announce that we'll be providing a few very limited, exclusively available free seats available during this webinar. But just before we make that offer to everybody, just explain what's gone into the course and what people can benefit from it, as they go through the lessons. And I'll stick it up for us to then start having a look at.
Yeah, no, we talk about everything. So what we did was we went through a recruiter's journey on how they'd find someone on LinkedIn, how they'd look at their profile, and how they'd understand it. So we separated out into three sections. The first section is how is a recruiter going to find you, right? In that section, we talk about everything. We talk about the search bar. Obviously, they can just search data analyst in Johannesburg, right? Or they can search for accountant in Johannesburg or accountant in anywhere, right? So the first is the search bar, where we talk about how they'll actually search for you. Then we talk about how or what other factors that go in. For example, search by job title. It can be searched by location. It can be searched by skills. So all these are ways for any recruiter to specifically find you. So we go in deep into the find section, and then we talk about all of that. Then we go into how or what other ways you can do that. You can optimize your LinkedIn profile where people can find you using the search title or the search tags. Then you can talk about hashtags. You can just go on the search bar and type hashtags. And then so there are all these ways recruiter can first look for you, where you get those inbound leads. Then in and if Peter will talk about, we'll talk about section two in how to find a job or get visibility. What you'll also see is that we talk about specifically about how a recruiter can find you, but also how you can apply for jobs or how you can be on their radar as well. So that's very powerful in terms of applying for jobs or getting the inbound leads, and then that's how you are first discovered by a recruiter. Then when we move on to section three, it's all about how to impress the recruiters or how they look at you. So we talk about the profile image and the headline. That's the first thing. You take the mouse pointer and you see. So we tell you how to optimize the profile image, how to optimize the headline, how to showcase the best headline that conveys everything that a recruiter might need to know about you. And then finally, it's the understanding section, where literally we've covered each and every section of the LinkedIn profile, from skills, achievements, hobbies, experience, academic qualifications. Every section we break down into individual lectures, so recruiter can get as much information as possible about you. And it's your profile, right? So they should be able to answer all the questions. So it has everything that they need to know about you. And then there's an optional section about LinkedIn Premium, LinkedIn additional LinkedIn features, additional LinkedIn settings that you can use. There's an additional lecture about blogging. We have a separate course on how to blog on LinkedIn, but the idea is that you can start your blogging journey right now on LinkedIn. It's very easy, so we have that section as well. So all of this will help you just get everything you need to do to either find a job for yourself or have recruiters find you and offer you the job as well either. So both of the aspects are covered in that structured manner on how a recruiter will look for a job.
Super. Thank you, Salil. And as you can see, Tracy has joined us in studio. So a very good afternoon to you, Tracy. And just handing over to you now to pick up on this topic that Salil was mentioned about the fact that recruiters are actually actively using LinkedIn to search for people like you who have skills that you potentially can offer them. And so, Tracy, my question to you is you sort of introduce yourself and say, how's it, everybody? As a regular guest on the show, in your perspective, is LinkedIn still relevant and is it still used by recruiters? And as a recruiter yourself, with many years of experience of looking for professionals in the workplace, what are recruiters doing more of or less of on LinkedIn? And in the context of that, how can people use LinkedIn, as Salil says, to actually get found by recruiters? Tracy, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a subject, as you know, I've been asking that we talk about because it's just that powerful. And it's interesting, my exposure, Pete, to LinkedIn has been from when I was within a corporate and we were starting to use LinkedIn a little more, to sometimes cut recruitment costs, etc., to do more direct recruitment. So I experienced it then. And now, as a career coach, I'm seeing how I use LinkedIn to coach my clients on finding jobs and leading and reaching out and creating networks and so on. So it's got such a breadth of experience. It's got such a breadth of offerings and benefits. I took a long time to buy into the whole LinkedIn thing. I think I only went on to LinkedIn about 3 years ago. But and it's quite honestly, I think I resisted it because you get stuck in the old ways of doing things and you was going to become this sort of digitized and non-personal kind of engagement. But these days, I can tell you that I'm on LinkedIn every single day, whether it's for somebody who's looking for a candidate and I'm helping them to search. Otherwise, it was for sharing my insights and or resharing, posts by other people that I think people would find interesting. Whether it's researching people prepare for an interview, I go into LinkedIn and I say, "Come, let's go look at their backgrounds. You go see the background. You can go into the interview so much better prepared." So for me, it's so much further from what it was originally, where it was just everyone puts their CVs on LinkedIn and recruiters find it there. Now it really is an interactive net. It's like a cocktail party on screen. And the other thing that I've noticed is that I think CVs are eventually going to be phased out. I think our CVs need to be our LinkedIn profiles. They're so much more dynamic and they're so much more interactive. And to the point that now when people we have our regular resumes, I even say have a hyperlink on that resume to your LinkedIn profile.
Great, Tracy. Appreciate that. And so, is it useful for people to learn how to use LinkedIn better to improve their profile? I mean, we've spoken about this, in interviews previously. And so, to go through a training course like we've prepared for them, how much does that increase their chances? As you say, you're almost on there every day now. And people need to be doing that almost as a habit, but then also following a set of instructions and a series of lessons, like we'll make available to them in this 4-hour long course with teaching and demonstrations that actually shows them live on the screen with the principles and the steps that they need to take to go through to improve their profile. I mean, just talk about how useful that would be then potentially for everybody to go through.
In actually, it is so critical because I think we don't realize how much there is that can be done. And I'll use an example of the client, and I think that she's probably listening in now. The client that I spoke to directly before this, my previous consultation, we shared screens and I was clicking around on LinkedIn. Now, she wasn't yet convinced that LinkedIn was, she didn't yet have and doesn't yet have a LinkedIn profile of her own. And she said, I'm not really convinced about it. And so I wasn't even trying to convince her. I just went on because we were looking around at a couple of things. We were sort of researching some companies she would like to work for, and I was click through. You could then see the people who are working at that company. It's easy then to know who to reach out to, etc. And she said, wow, I didn't know LinkedIn could do this. So within 10 minutes, we had been able to pull up a particular company that she would like to work in. Then LinkedIn prompts you with similar companies that other people would have looked for. She could look up the current jobs. She could follow the company. She could set an alert for jobs that came up. She could look up current opportunities. That stuff you don't just know. Having a lesson or tuition on LinkedIn makes you so much more aware of those things. You wouldn't necessarily think about them. And I think that's where the value of this comes in. Salil, is that what you had in mind when you were setting it up?
Yeah, absolutely. LinkedIn, that's what LinkedIn really does. And what I've also recruited from other like marketplace websites. So for example, in India, they have a Naukri.com, all these portals, where you can find students. And what I realized is those portals are not as effective anymore, because when you download a resume, the resume is outdated. Sometimes the contact information is not right. Sometimes they've lied on the resume, and it's just not that interactive. Whereas when I see a person's profile on LinkedIn, I can see the company they worked in, immediately click the company profile, find networks, find my connection that I can ask for a background verification for them. So everything is so efficient when it comes to LinkedIn. It's so active, right? Their company, their achievements, their trophies, their medals, their certification. Even LinkedIn has a skills test that we talk about in this course. And they can take a skills test on LinkedIn, get results, get that percentage, and then have that displayed. So I can see everything in a very organized, user-friendly manner on LinkedIn, which is just better than this traditional, resume that we work on, which is a Word document or PDF that necessarily might be updated or might be missing some relevant experiences or anything like that. So LinkedIn has just become that powerful resume, which is almost like your own personal website, right? You can have a salildhawan.tracyashington.com, but you can just have LinkedIn / your name, and that's your own personal professional website, where everything you do, everything you talk about, everything that you've done is all on that profile, and that just gives you that power, and it empowers you for people to find you.
So true. Another tip that I often tell people is don't only in your network, don't only have recruiters. Go and find people doing what you want to be doing in companies that you'd like to be working for.
Yeah.
Add them. Look at who their managers are. Add them. Go and see if you're wanting to work for a company. Go and find their competitor and see what their CEO is posting, and you repost that. You can create a lot of hi Pete. Glad to have you back. You can create a lot of, if somebody then looks at your profile and they're seeing that you're reposting this kind of very relevant, cutting edge stuff, you're actually, you're positioning yourself really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, let's pick up a couple of questions. So, Koketso says here, a friend of mine, a graduate, was struggling to find a job last year, hasn't even heard of LinkedIn to boost her job search. So that was really helpful. So, I mean, for me as well, I mean, Tracy and Salil, it's this idea of the recommendations and the referrals. And as much as we're creating content on LinkedIn, as much as we're updating our profiles, etc., it's about being seen, and it's about other people seeing our content and referring us and our content to other people, and just growing the visibility of ourselves in that marketplace. So even Koketso now, who's going to be able to recommend this course and this webinar to a friend of his who's been looking for a job, and now has some tangible steps that they can take to actually increase their chances of getting a job, really, I think is so powerful. And of course, as you both well know, it obviously helps to have a computer to be able to access LinkedIn, although you can do a lot of it in your phone. And we very recently gave away 3 laptops on this webinar. So those 3 people can use their brand new free laptops to access LinkedIn on their computers, which is really exciting. So here at the Student Success Coach community, with people like Salil and Tracy, we aim to not only give you the skills and the tips and the tricks and the insights and the experts, but even also the computers and the resources to help you be successful. Got a question here from Darshini Patel. As a student, how do you search around for a possible internship or job? Okay, so Darshini, let me jump in here because I handle this in the course, and Tracy and Salil can also jump in as well. So Darshini, inside LinkedIn, at the panel on the top of the menu bars, you'll see there the jobs feature. You'll be able to click on that, and really the way that I explain that in the course is like a giant notice board on the marketplace, where recruiters and anybody that wants to share a vacancy can go and put that vacancy up on the notice board. So if you're aware of, notice boards in, community town halls and universities, etc., it's very much like a digital equivalent of that. So what you need to understand is this marketplace concept, that people are putting jobs there just like they would in a newspaper, right? It's all been digitized and it's on these sorts of platforms. You can then go onto that massive digital notice board of all of those jobs, and then you can search for jobs using criteria like a location, like the type of job that you're looking for, like the skills that you have, or even the company or the organization or the length of time that job has been posted up on LinkedIn. And just a couple of quick stats for you. I think it's like 50-60% of all jobs that are offered through LinkedIn go to people who apply within a day or two of the job actually being notified on LinkedIn. So I'm sure Salil will give me the more accurate stat. But just to respond to that question there, you would be able to then search potentially for an internship as well by narrowing the search and looking for that as a keyword in those search results. So there's a couple of lessons on a lot of detail about looking for jobs in LinkedIn. And the last point just to make, and Salil, I'd ask you to jump in then as well, is, and we teach you this in the course, you don't actually have to be on LinkedIn all the time to get that information about the jobs. You can set an alert. So you put in your search criteria. Let's say you're looking for an internship in Johannesburg in financial services. That would be your search criteria. You can then set an alert so that every new job which gets posted on with those keywords, you'll get an email and or an app notification for you to then quickly log back into LinkedIn and have a look at that job that has been posted for you, which meets your predetermined criteria. So how convenient is that to have notifications delivered to you about jobs that meet your criteria? And if you're looking for jobs, it's much more useful for you to get those type of alerts than somebody liked your picture on Facebook, right? I mean, this is people wanting your skills. Salil?
Yeah, so absolutely. The first thing you covered is great. You can just go search by whatever kind of internship you're looking for. So in the comment, Darshini, as well, tell us what kind of internship you're looking for. And when you search that specific internship, you get the entire list. Now, what you can do is you can set the job alert based on the skill or based on the title or the thing that you're looking for. And even if you don't do that, what happens is LinkedIn algorithm takes over. Now, how does that take over? First thing you need to do is update your profile and add the skills that you have. Second thing you need to do is just make one search of a specific internship on LinkedIn. Those two combined, LinkedIn will start recommending you things. So, for example, I'm an instructor on Udemy, and my profile says instructor. The word instructor is there. LinkedIn picked that up and always shows me jobs and internship for instructors, right? So LinkedIn will do the job for you, or LinkedIn will do the work for you. You just have to update your profile, complete the profile, and then once you do that, make one search in the job section on what kind of jobs you're looking for. And after that, LinkedIn will take over, give you recommendations. Then what happens is the engine becomes better. Apply for just one job, and as soon as you apply for one job, LinkedIn knows, okay, not only did you search for these kind of jobs, not only do you have these skills, combined, you actually applied for a job in this role. And then it starts showing you further jobs that are in that role or in that specific niche. So all of this happens quite automatically. You don't need to worry about the back end aspect of it, but you just need to take an action, right? So take an action right now. Open your LinkedIn profile, complete your skills, complete your profile, then go and just search for one job, the kind of job you're looking for, and automatically you'll see everything else fall into place. Once you start seeing that, just set up those alerts so you know the new postings are when they're coming out, and all of that will streamline you for the job opportunities that you want.
Yeah, thanks, Salil. Appreciate that. Tracy, your thoughts on looking for jobs on LinkedIn? I mean, we've spoken about the search profile, the feature. Salil's touched on the algorithm and the use of keywords to match between jobs available and your profile, etc. Tracy, any thoughts? I mean, what about things like hashtags, open to work, going and stalking recruiters, for example? I mean, any hot tips from you about searching for a job on LinkedIn?
I tend to like to do things slightly differently. And for example, something that I really urge people to do is don't only rely on the job spec being on LinkedIn. So if somebody's looking to hire people, don't think that if say for example, the company you want an internship with doesn't advertise any internship opportunities, still use LinkedIn to do research about the company. Use LinkedIn to go and find out who the recruiters are. Maybe they've advertised their graduate program, and you can then see who the recruiter is for that graduate program, and you can then approach that graduate recruiter directly to say, I don't see any internships on LinkedIn. Are you perhaps open to? So it's not only at face value what you're getting out of LinkedIn, it's the information you can then use creatively in addition to that. There is so much, for example, say people will say, oh, but I've inboxed somebody and they didn't respond. And I say, rather use the inbox feature of LinkedIn to say, do you mind if I have your email address and I'll pop you an email? So it doesn't only have to be LinkedIn. What I like is the fact that this teaches you to use LinkedIn in so many more dimensions. Little things such as the company may not even be wanting interns. But using LinkedIn, knowing that you can then research the company, find a couple of people who work in the right sort of areas, know what know their link with them, inbox them. You can always say, I'm an intern. I know you're not advertising any internships, but please would you refer me to someone that I may be able to talk to? So it gives you that, it's very hard to just go to someone's website and stop. It's a real platform for engagement. And that's why I keep talking about beyond just being where your CV is.
Brilliant, Tracy. That is so powerful. Thank you for that. I mean, LinkedIn is absolutely a source of fantastic information, not only about jobs itself, but then about people and other sources of information off of LinkedIn. So it's almost like that gateway that you can pause at and have a look at and search around, but then it opens doors into so many other sources of valuable information as well. Got a question here from Big Brain Algorithm. Good afternoon and a warm welcome to you. And just an offer of encouragement to everybody else to continue asking questions in the chat so that we can take them and answer them for you specifically this afternoon. Question is around the explanation of the skills endorsement feature and how important it is. So we teach that, as Salil said, in the 4th section of the LinkedIn Masterclass. But just to give you a little bit of an indication of how it works, in your profile, there's a range of different sections, and one of them, you are able to list a whole bunch of skills. And like Tracy was saying previously, you might have a skills section in your CV, and it's sort of similar to that. But the additional benefit that you get on LinkedIn is that once you've listed those skills, people can then actually go and endorse you for those skills. So you'd have a list of skills, and then you'd have actually people almost voting on whether or not they think you've got those actual skills. And we actually go into a demo on LinkedIn of exactly how to do that. So if you were to follow there, which is exactly in answer to the question that you had, let me just zoom in a little bit here. You can see there that there's the skills that I've listed there. And I will then go through a little bit of a demo in this section of the course to show you how to not only load skills, as I'm showing you there in the lesson, So, for example, you want to add business development or engineering or administration. LinkedIn gives you a list of skills that you might want to load onto your profile. And once you've done that, as you can see that at the back there, those will then become visible to people in your network, and LinkedIn will actually prompt people in your network and who they think would be able to provide an endorsement of your skills as to whether they should endorse you for those skills. And you can actually see there, and I'm demoing my own profile in the course quite extensively. You can see there, and this would then be public on my LinkedIn profile. People will then actually be able to go and click on a endorsement of that skill, and other people would then be able to see how many people have endorsed me for that skill. And I think the reason that is important, and I mean, Tracy, just to bring you back in here again as well, is recruiters are interested in what you have to say about your skills and your experience, but they almost always a little bit more interested in what other people have to say. That's why you get references, and that's why you ask around, because you might be a little bit biased, right? You might be overselling your skills and your experience, but the endorsements feature of LinkedIn really gives that social proof, if you like, of your CV in a very sort of highly digitized and efficient manner. So, Tracy, just your thoughts there on having your list of skills almost validated by your network and visible for recruiters to have a look at on your LinkedIn profile?
It's actually it's interesting you saying that, Pete, because as I'm hearing you, I'm realizing how important it is, and it's not something I've spent much time on doing for myself. I don't think I have any endorsements, and as I'm looking at you and seeing the power of it, and in fact, how hearing it from somebody else just seems so much more impressive. It's something that I've just written a note about to include in my guidelines and tips. I haven't done your Udemy course, but I really do plan to, because I'm absolutely frank and honest, as you know, I always am. In the last few minutes, you've been saying a few things that I didn't even know. So it shows there's so much to be learned about. I think if there's ever an Udemy course or any course that's important to a career seeker or a person in their career, even if they're not looking for a job, it's LinkedIn. It really is. You know how to use it to maximize its potential is exponentially important.
And Tracy, you talk about learning things in the last few minutes. Actually, while we were working on this course, I learned that you can do a skills assessment in LinkedIn. And I did my first skills assessment as part of the demo that I did in the lesson that I'm showing up on the screen there right now. So I have put Agile as a skill that I think I have on my profile. What LinkedIn has done is it's gone and got a whole lot of questions from Agile experts around the world, and it's created a question bank. And you can go in and you can do an assessment on any of the skills that you want to on your profile. And based on questions and answers that other people have provided onto the platform, it will then determine whether you come in the top 20% of everyone in the world who has listed that same skill on their profile. And if you achieve that, you then get a badge for that skill on your LinkedIn profile, right? So we all have a good badge and a good sort of social proof of some sort of skills that we get. So it's not only the endorsements, but it's then also actually the skills assessment that LinkedIn has made available on the platform, which I also only learnt about when I was doing this course and demoed myself doing for the first time in the lesson. And fortunately, as you can see there, I did get the badge that I was hoping for. Salil, I'd love for you just to take this question here now. And this talks to a little bit of the ethical aspects that we were chatting about in our webinar last time, where, a lot of the things that happen on the internet, maybe the ethics isn't there, and one's got to be quite careful of, for example, like the question is being asked here, fake recruiters putting fake posts and so on. And how safe is LinkedIn and its ability to verify recruiters because of the very real concern raised here about sharing personal information? Salil, how safe is LinkedIn from a data privacy point of view?
No, it's actually very safe because of the network effect. So you can actually go into the company itself and then see if the person is working for the company or not, and if they have a profile from them or not. Then we also talk about LinkedIn Premium, where the recruiters who are actually have bought the recruiter package of LinkedIn and they are then verified by LinkedIn because they have that premium subscription. So there are all these mechanisms, but at the same time, you shouldn't share your personal information, because all your information that is essential for the recruitment purpose is already visible on your profile. So that's the idea and the objective of profile, is to have all the information visible, have the all the information up there, so that you don't have to share further personal information, and then you can protect yourself from that barrier because your profile is public already. And then once you have that verification of the recruiter by seeing the profile, connection, network, and all of that, then you can take that step further of starting to get into the discussion, but then keep it on the platform itself, because there's a chat feature, there's a mail feature. You can report the person, so you're already protected by the platform itself as well. So just keep those things in mind, and that will help you stay safe on the platform.
Brilliant, Salil. Now I've made the course available in the chat, and we've only allowed a limited number of free seats available. So what action do people need to take now, Salil, to reserve their spot for free in this course? And it'll always be available on our profiles and on our websites. But what is that action that people need to take now to go and get advantage of the 4 hours of teaching and demonstration lessons in the course?
I think it's 6 hours now, Peter. We updated a lot of content as well, but they just have to go and enroll now, because the free seats are limited. And the idea behind that is we do not want, we genuinely want to help people who really need it, who will partner with us, who will help us, because we also need reviews, social proof, and feedback, where you tell us what we can do with the course, and with the comment section as well. And I would request more people to comment. Is whatever questions we are facing here, we'll also include them in our lessons as well, because, for example, data privacy is a very important factor when it comes to LinkedIn. So we'll include a separate section on all the measures you can take to protect your privacy on LinkedIn as well. So this is a great feedback session for us to be able to help you and also learn from you. And that's the same with the course. There's a Q&A section, there are quizzes. You can direct message us at any time. You can connect with us on LinkedIn. You can connect with us on YouTube. So all of that is made to just give you the ability to connect with us as much as you can, reach out as much as you can. And the more you reach out, the more we're able to help you through the course and through our webinars, and in general whenever we connect with you. So go on the webinar right now, and just enroll now. Go on the course right now and enroll.
Brilliant, Salil. And I mean, maybe just a couple of the other features available in the course. People can introduce themselves and talk about the goals that they want to achieve. And we would expect that's going to be about getting a better job. But people could also just be wanting to update their profile on LinkedIn, and are working on their network and have heard that LinkedIn is an important tool. So it'll be very important, I think, for students when they join the course, and use that feature to introduce themselves. They're quite specific about exactly what they want to achieve, because then we can comment on those goals and point them to the most useful lessons in the course and resources that are available to them. We've also got features like the progress lessons. So we really encourage you to get through all the lessons. And as you get through 25%, 50%, 75%, we are there to encourage you and support you and get you all the way through. And then, Salil, very importantly, and something that we try and include in all our courses, when you do get your certificate at the end there, we'd love it if you want to share it on LinkedIn as well, right? On the very platform that we're teaching about in the course. Click that button to share it on LinkedIn and tag us, so that we can boost, your profile by having done a course about LinkedIn on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah. So there are a lot of steps you can take when you're just starting out on LinkedIn, right? First is you can join various groups. For example, whatever university you're from, join the university group, join the alumni groups. Whatever profession you're in, join related professional groups. Then, when it comes to LinkedIn as well, let's say you take a course, you connect with us. Then, whenever you write a blog or an article, for example, in a blogging course, we reshare that article. Whenever you do a certificate of this course here, we reshare that certificate, so that you get access to our connection and our network as well, where people can see that this person has done the LinkedIn job search course, or they've done the LinkedIn course, and they have that skill and the ability, and that just increases your visibility as well. So all these things we're doing in order to help you, and in order to gain and help you gain from those network effects, where you get to benefit from the network of LinkedIn. You get to benefit from the scale of LinkedIn that is, the professional network there is, and all of that you just get to benefit when you're active, when you're engaging, when you're giving your time and when you're giving your energy, when you're posting, when you're being an active contributing member of LinkedIn, you get more out of it as well.
Amazing. Thank you, Salil. And appreciate that. So hopefully everybody's taken action and enrolled themselves in the course. And Tracy, I think just, was such a wonderful session we had previously where, we were able to award these very deserving students in the Facebook group with some laptops. So Tracy, do you want to touch on that? And I'll just scroll through some of the wonderful pictures that these students were able to post with all their new equipment. And just a reminder to everybody, we had an anonymous donor. We had 3 finalists, and we were able to give all of them a laptop instead of having to choose only one. But Tracy, over to you, and I'll just scroll through some of the pictures that were posted in the Facebook group.
Absolutely. So what I wanted to say before we talk about this, the laptops, Pete, I wanted to just put out a little alert in terms of when, and it's not a LinkedIn thing. This is online, full stop. There are people who are going to be opportunistic, and I have had a few people say they're contacted via agencies, whether it's via LinkedIn or directly, and the agencies are asking them for a fee to sign up to, if they're looking for. So they say, and then we'll put you on our database. These guys, you shouldn't need to pay to be on an agency's database. So don't. I once posted about it, and I had so much feedback that people had been scammed. Recruiters, authentic recruiters, will want your details on their database. They're not expecting you to pay to help them, for them to help you find a job. On another note, the good thing is, Peter, we were so excited about these 3 laptops, and subsequently the word has got out, and we had somebody donate 500 towards the next laptop, and I've subsequently had another person come and say that they're willing to buy a laptop. So we're going to have to keep thinking about how we can use these laptops to keep the guys engaged and inspired. So we can do another one pretty soon.
Yeah, well, it's just going to snowball, Tracy, as people see the power of community and the network effects like Salil was mentioning. The more people see, the greater the opportunity is for everybody to join and get the advantage of the benefits of being in a community like the Student Success Coach Facebook group and here on the YouTube channel and all the other resources that we provide.
Absolutely.
So Tracy, just talk very quickly then about the folk in the group that got the laptops.
Okay, so what we did was so it started with a long story, and it just shows how many people are so keen to help and often don't really know how they can. So when given an opportunity like this, I was interviewing 26, I think I interviewed 26 students who were trying to get a bursary. And during the interview, several of them, I could see they were really struggling with connectivity. And the one young man said he doesn't have it. He was trying to I was interviewing him on a phone. And I said, listen, this is not something I normally do, but I'll post on social media to say if anyone has a laptop they no longer use, would they be able to help? I mean, I just met the young man like that 5 minutes before. And I posted it, and whilst we were on the call, people started responding to me saying, we'd love to help, we'd love to help. And not only did I have somebody come forward and help that young man, but then I had we had another amazing contact out who's working out into the rest of Africa saying, well, I'll sponsor another 3. And so Peter ran a student success coach sort of, I don't know if you want to call it a competition, where we asked for motivations from 3 people who really, really needed a laptop. And we were then set to award to one of the 3 winners. And whilst we were actually on the call, it was so exciting that day. Whilst we were on the call, the gentleman who had said that he would donate a laptop confirmed that he would donate for all 3. So it was real time, and it was so exciting to be able to tell the 3 of them they had all won a laptop.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tracy. Okay, just as we bring this to a close, Salil, last thoughts from your side I see we do have one question from Retabile asking about how to include a gap year in LinkedIn as part of the education section. So Salil, maybe just some last thoughts from your side in terms of that education section and how important it is to have a continuous stream of continuous dates, or whether a couple of gaps are fine. And then just last thoughts from your side, and some encouragement to see everybody in the course, and good luck with getting through the lessons and extracting all the value that we've provided to them.
Yeah, Peter. Recently, there was a massive controversy when Twitter, announced a new CEO, and people went on his LinkedIn profile and they saw there was a 1 year gap, then a 2 year gap, then sometimes 6 months gap, and there were constant gaps not only in his work but in his academics as well. And he took some time off to be with family, some time off to continue his PhD, some time off to study something, some time off to travel, and that's fine as long as you are doing something productive with the time, or you have a reason why you took that time off. Or even if you couldn't pass, or you failed, or something happened, you should have some reason or something else that you did that helped you grow, that helped you progress. And if you have that answer, put that in the profile, put that in your experience section, or put that in your academic section. Just mention that this year I did this. That's fine. There's no don't restrict yourself in the whole guidelines of the you have to complete your degree in this much time, or you have to do this in a certain timeline. None of that matters. There are CEOs who've taken gap years. They're very successful people who've dropped out of colleges and dropped out of universities. So none of that should matter as long as your profile says what you did do during that time, during that period, and just say, I added so many skills in that period. Mention those skills in your skills section in those years. Talk about some other courses that you took. Talk about some traveling that you did. Whatever you do, make it a part of your profile, so the gap year seems more like a productive year rather than the negative connotation attached with the gap year.
Okay, Salil, we're going to start wrapping it up here. So last thoughts from your side, and then Tracy.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you once again, everyone who just, you guys are here every week, supporting us, motivating us. We keep seeing you guys give reviews on the courses, your feedback on the courses, messaging us on LinkedIn, connecting with us. So all of that is very powerful, very motivational, keeps us going every week. So thank you so much. Just once again, be part of the course, message on the course, ask questions on the course as much as you want, review on the course. So be an active member in the course. Be an active member on the YouTube. You can access Peter's YouTube, my YouTube channel. You can connect with both of us on LinkedIn. You can post your certificates when you get the course on LinkedIn. We'll reshare that. You can post your blog articles on LinkedIn, or whatever post you want to do that. Just tag us in. We'll share that further, because we believe in the whole network effects, and we believe that the more we give, the more we get back. So just be part of us, engage, connect, and then we look forward to learning from you more. Thank you so much, guys.
Great, Salil. Thank you very much. Tracy, last thoughts on LinkedIn for job search and action that people can take to get ahead in their career.
There's a sneaky little thing, and I don't know if you mentioned it in the Udemy course, because I'm still to do that. But there is a way in which you can look at your profile and you can actually print it out, so PDFs, so that you actually have an actual CV. So I don't know if you want to explain it better than that, Pete, but it's like everything on your profile is in a PDF that you can send to someone, so you don't have to spend your life typing up a CV. So that's my favorite little add-on tip. But thank you for having me.
No, that's a pleasure. Thank you, Tracy and Salil. And yes, to Tracy's point, there are those features in LinkedIn, and we do touch on them in the course. So do take advantage of it. Go in there, learn those lessons, and get ahead in the workplace. All right. Thanks, everybody. We are going to bring it to a close. Make sure you take action, get into the course. We look forward to seeing you there, and please do leave a rating and a review for us. Thanks all. Cheers, guys.
Weekend. Bye, guys.